Okay, let's transition to this because I think this is going to be a really interesting topic. So Chamath had a Twitter exchange with a random person. So the guy says, you said buying space stock is like owning tech businesses. Their profit margin would be 80%. I bought it. You sold. Now I am a bag holder and I lost everything. Okay. Chamath says to this random person, why did you not sell when I sold? What was your underwriting at the time? So completely dismisses the fact that he's bag holding and just says, look, I publicly said I was selling. Why didn't you sell? Yeah. And then William, this guy says, how do you live with yourself given the massive losses you inflicted on SPAC holders? All of the SPACs you've said have gone down 70 to 80%. Chamath says, I didn't inflict any losses. Stop being a victim. The world will pass you by. And then after that, he has this one tweet. I'm not sharing it right now, but the tweet is, I'm in the arena trying stuff. Some will work, some won't, but always learning. You're anonymous and afraid of your own shadow. Enjoy the sidelines. He's gotten a lot of criticism for how he's handled engaging with people who have said that they lost a lot of money because of him using CNBC to really hype up these retail heavy stocks, make a shit ton of money being the person who sponsors the SPAC and then get out of it when it's at its top. What do you guys think? Do you think he's to blame, or do you agree with his essence of victim mentality and how people need to stop being victims and take responsibility for their own choices?
I mean, you want to start, Carlos? I'll take over after.
I'm pulling something up that's and relates to my response.
Okay, sure.
Okay, go ahead.
So look, at the end of the day, I think everybody's responsible for their own financial decisions. Chamath did not come to your home, open your bank account, to make you buy wild, crazy SPACs. And in fact, I bought SoFi too pretty early on, 12, 13, 14, whatever it was. I don't blame Chamath for that. Yes, he had his one page. Like, is that the due diligence we do by looking at one page of some fucking billionaire telling us that we're supposed to be buying this? So if that's your due diligence, you're the moron. And in fact, you followed Chamath. So why didn't you follow him out? Because he did post these different things when I don't know if he posted exactly the day after he sold, but he did tell you these things were happening, that he was selling at some point. So there was plenty of opportunity, maybe not to get out with all your clothes, but at least your pants on. And now you have no pants because you waited too long. So exactly. We're all adults here. You do your own due diligence. The same thing for people who listen to us. You bought Palantir. People are following you and buying Palantir. People are following me and buying Enphase. And we tell them all day long, you have no conviction in it. You should probably not buy it because you don't want to do the homework on it. Okay. You want our conviction and you can't have it. I'm sorry about it. So I think Chamath is totally right in this, but he is a prick, but he's right in this.
You're right, but do you think the public way he's basically telling people, shut up, go play in the arena?
That's wrong. Look, he's right in his sentiment, but he's wrong in the way he's doing it because he's in a level of privilege those people aren't. So it's really negative of him to shit on somebody. He's a billionaire. Like, this guy just lost his $10,000 and that was everything to him or whatever. So that's wrong. But it's that guy's fault, 100%. But just Chamath should not even respond to these guys. It's like, it's pointless. It's a waste of his time.
Okay. Carlos, your thoughts? Oh, we got a Jason clip. Okay,
yeah, I'll just play this. This is something I think we talked about this when it happened, but I just want to play this real quick.
It's the white AMIT.
The fact that he came out with a statement on the Uyghurs, I thought was very strong. It's one of the stronger things he did, but it's not coming up in the polls. And I think that whole Republicans interested in getting Hillary to run again is
nobody cares about what's happening to the Uyghurs. Okay, you bring it up because you really care, and I think that's nice that you care. The rest of us don't care. I'm just telling you a very hard.
Wait, you're saying you personally don't care?
I'm telling you a very hard, ugly truth. Okay, of all the things that I care about, yes, it is below my line. Okay? Of all the things that I care about, it is below my line.
Disappointing.
Well,
that became a meme.
If you explain to them what's happening to the Uyghurs in China, they care, but it's not top of mind for them.
That's not
what's
caring.
Top of mind right now is they go to their grocery store and the shelves are empty.
Sure, that I care about. Yeah. I care about the fact that our economy could turn on a dime if China invades Taiwan. I care about that. I care about climate change. I care about I care about America's crippling and, decrepit healthcare infrastructure. But if you're asking me, do I care about a segment of a class of people in another country? Not until we can take care of ourselves will I prioritize them over us. And I think a lot of people.
Anyway.
What was the point of you bringing that up? How do you want to?
He got a lot of backlash. He got a lot of backlash for that because people felt like that was removing the veil. He tries to, he comes off as like just a really nice guy who with good intentions, a good-hearted man, and that revealed the profit motive. That revealed like I don't give a fuck. If you know what was happening to the Uyghurs in there, it was horrific working conditions for them. It was It was not good. It was a humanitarian crisis. And he's basically saying, I don't give a shit about them. And some people got upset with him for that. With respect to the...
Well, but before you leave the Uyghurs, look, I don't spend all day worrying about them. I'm going to be honest. So if you guys in the chat are all worrying about the Uyghurs every day, that was his point. He might have said it very coarsely.
Yeah, he said it wrong, but his point is correct.
His point was like, I care about Americans.
No. What I think is
American problems and not Uyghur problems.
I just want to say that. I just want to say this uninterrupted. What he's doing is he's playing both sides. Okay. On one hand, if you're going on CNBC and you're talking about these facts and you're telling everybody what's going on, you understand that a certain percentage of that population, knowing that you made $1 billion, there's always that says, if you want to know how to make money, listen to a rich person, right? If I want to get health advice, I'm going to listen to a doctor. So you're listening to this guy who's a billionaire talking about this company that's going to go to the moon with 80% profit margins. And you think the reason why you watch finance channels is to get news and information about where to invest your money. This is what happens with Kramer. This is why you are watching these shows. We pretend it's entertainment, but that's bullshit. The reason why people are watching those shows is because these are experts who understand markets and understand companies and understand the way that things trade. And you're looking to get some inside information, some insights, so you can make informed financial decisions. This is part of what people consider their D&D. Is
why you're giving away our secrets. Okay, go ahead.
You get what I'm saying? And so then what you do is you bait people into buying in on these SPACs, and then you sell out, knowing that not everybody that heard you say buy is hearing that you are selling. And then you make a shit ton of money and leave these people holding the bag, always able to hide behind the veil of, well, you got to do your own research. And, and I didn't tell you what to buy. And, I'm doing what I did. I told you I was going to sell. It's not illegal, but I think it's immoral. And I think he's done it enough now where people just go, you know what? I don't have respect for the guy. And the comment that he made about the Uyghurs, it's not so much about the Uyghurs. That's what he feels about the retail investors that lost money. I don't give a fuck about you guys. You are below my line. That's my point. It's not that he cares about those people in China. It's that he's like, look, dude, if you bought in on it, I made the money, you're below my line. And that's how I think he truly feels about it. That's what I think was the tone that he was giving that guy on Twitter, being like, hey, man, I don't know what was your underwriting at that time. Like, he knows that those people are out there working a blue collar job to earn the money. They're not on markets all day. They don't have an underwriter. So that's where I feel it is. None of this is illegal, but I do think it crosses a line of just immoral. And I think, we talk a lot on this channel about whether certain investments or certain things are immoral or not, and how much of that should play into your investment thesis. But I do believe that this is an example of how not being moral, not having morality in the investment circle can hurt you, can affect you. Everyone should do their own D&D, but you should be able on some level to trust these guys. I mean, on some level, trust that they're giving you some information. But it's also,
I don't know. That's not how media. That's not how media works. Like we talk about Jim Cramer all the time. The anti-Jim Cramer ETF.
Wait. But what you're saying it's not how it currently works. You're right. That's not how it currently works. But I'm not saying that I'm saying that that's not correct. It is how it currently works.
Well, I agree with you. It's not correct, but
just like our political system currently works.
Hold on. If
you're not saying it's correct.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, so you're a smart guy. You know that's how it works. We're not arguing that, right? You know that's how it works. And then you watch Jim Cramer, and he tells you to buy whatever stock as it tanks.
Buy.
Coinbase, the 400, right?
Yeah. Whatever. He says that. And then so do you hold Jim Cramer responsible for your dumb decision to buy
VITALY,
Coinbase?
what they are playing on is the fact that every year new people come into the investment. Every 10 years it flips, right? New people come in. The reason why you and I know that is because we made that mistake and we learned that lesson 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, and now we know.
I know. Right? I followed Jim Cramer into Enphase. Right. I know.
But every year, new people are coming in. This is what they're banking on. Every year, new people come in. When they sent those stimulus checks, they knew a whole bunch of new people were coming in to invest for the first time. You get Chamath up there telling you Virgin Galactic is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar tech company with 80% margins, and people go, boom, I'm going to throw my check in there. It's a money grab. And like, we have to pretend that we don't see what it is. That is what's happening. But he can hide behind the way he's wording it and the way he's phrasing it. He's 100% right. He's protected. No one could sue him. But we all know what's happening. It's just impossible for guys like you and me. This is why you and I will say some of the things that we say to AMIT. Dude, we got burned. We lost $20,000 on this and this. You could be making the same mistake. But you know what? If he does learn that lesson, when he meets AMIT, when he's 35 and he meets an AMIT who's 25, he'll see what it's like talking to a wall too, and that'll be the end of it.
Do you blame Chamath? That's the question, Carlos. Do you blame Chamath, or are you on Vitaly's side that the individual who bought Open Door should be blamed?
No, I think I do blame Chamath. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. He's not stupid. It's not illegal, but he knew exactly what he was doing. Come on, man. Why would you go up there? Look at the fundamentals of Virgin Galactic. You're telling me that he really thought that was going to be a worthy investment? He was an angel investor to get it off the ground, and then he dumped the shares on the public.
Well, he didn't know interest rates were going up to 5%.
Hold on.
The flight to $250,000.
Hold on. I do want to separate something, and I do agree. Actually, Chamath is responsible for.
All you brown people stick together. It's not cool.
No, I'm devil's advocate.
I know. You're playing devil's advocate.
Hold on. So Chamath did do something actually illegal, by the way, but maybe not illegal when you're doing a SPAC. All of these projections in the SPAC decks are all bullshit. So everybody knows that now. Back in 2021, we didn't know, I guess, because we were learning about SPACs.
Right.
But Chamath knew about SPACs, so he probably did know that the projections are all bullshit, because it's obvious every single company's projections was bullshit that we invested in. Okay, so that's just an obvious post fact that we all learned. So the fact is, if Chamath is a billionaire and smarter than us, I do think he knew some of this. That's where it gets into the gray area of, is he liable? Because now he's doing financial mishandling to investors. So that is something that he might be able to be held responsible.
He is riding.
By the way, while you're talking, this was a SPAC today. Go ahead.
He is
another SPAC. Right.
He is riding the line between legal and moral, and he knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows that he's going to get some people on it. I mean, it's part of how it goes. He knows what he's doing, and you are right. It is up to the individual. But this is part of the argument that I make with social media when I push back on fucking Facebook and Instagram. The average 12, 13-year-old cannot compete with a multi-billion-dollar algorithm, and they will not understand what's happening to them. The addiction, the dopamine and serotonin, the play on dopamine and serotonin that these algorithms are attacking them with. There's no way they're defenseless. It's the same way these young investors are defenseless when you have this many. Say if you have the entire mainstream media in on a narrative, or a couple of these billionaires, they're gonna take their money. They're gonna take their money, and it's not illegal. But I mean, some guy who's a nurse or chick who's a nurse going to work, 12 hours a day, comes back on Thursday and happens to catch a finance show. Does she have the time to do as much D&D as is necessary? No. Those people should probably just buy index funds.
But do you think that nurse who made the decision to buy Open Door at $30 because Chamath, which I agree with you, is pumping the hell out of it, deserves to feel the pain of being down 90% in the market?
Wait, you're saying does the person that bought the shares deserve to feel the pain of the loss?
Well, yeah. What he's asking you is there any personal responsibility?
Yes. No, there is personal responsibility. But most of the time, it's a lesson. Okay, here's what it is. It's a lesson that you should only learn once. There's that old saying, right? Dog bites you once, it's the dog's fault. The dog bites you twice, it's your fault. VITALY and I have been bitten by the dog.
Chamath bought us 6 times.
Chamath is the dog. Chamath is the dog that just goes around biting people. He just goes around biting people. If
you were Chamath, how would you have answered to a troll tweet about I lost 80%? How would you have handled that?
No, he shouldn't have answered at all. In fact.
But let's say you wanted to respond. Let's say you wanted to, give a response.
There's no way that he can respond to that honestly without accepting responsibility or acknowledging that he knew what he did. So either you don't respond or you don't put yourself in that situation. But there's no way to say, hey, man, I feel you, whatever. Because once you open that door, what you're doing is you're saying, I kind of knew. You're kind of doing the Dave Chappelle meme, a gif. Gotcha, bitch. That's what that is. This would be a perfect.
All night Dave Chappelle was like, I'm 50. I'm fucking rich, like all night.
I don't give a fuck.
No joke. And Chamath is basically like that. He's like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm 50. I'm fucking rich, and you're not. That's the way it is.
I don't know if I would be able to live with myself, bro. If I don't, I'm so conscious of telling people not to buy Palantir at 15, 16 bucks because I think it's overvalued. And look, if it goes to 20,
you were telling them at 25 to buy.
Well, interest rates weren't that high, but now the economy has changed, right? So for me, I'd rather me be wrong and conservative on a price versus definitely buy it at 18. And I think I have some logic for why 18 is too overvalued. Chamath has to live with himself every day knowing SoFi at 30, Open Door at 30, Space at whatever 18. These are stocks that are $1 to $2. SoFi was $4 a couple of months ago. Open Door was 94 cents. He has to live with the fact that a majority of retail gave him the liquidity to exit. And feel okay making new investments, just knowing that people are holding massive bags. It's crazy. It's a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah, there's responsibility. At the end of the day, look, there's responsibility on both sides. I don't like when people say I'm not responsible at all and Chamath is a scammer. Yeah, there's lots of scammers out there, okay? Just because you fall for one doesn't mean you relinquish
what, though,
all
Vitaly?
personal
Here's the thing.
responsibility.
No, you know what though? You would feel different if someone got your son like that. Your son
Yeah.
gets to an age where he can invest. And he
Chamath
gets
got
scammed.
me. Forget about my son.
No, fine.
Wait, what'd you invest from Chamath? SoFi?
Well, actually, I made money on Clover. I was watching it closely. It went from, I don't know, like $12 to 17. I rode that. I sold. So I actually made money with Chamath on that one. But SoFi, I got screwed on. And what else was there? There was probably something else. What else did he have?
Open Door.
No, I never got into Open Door.
Space. Chris says hardest part for me was speaking about stocks is feeling like
I think Carlos had some space. I think he followed
I
Chamath
did.
into that one.
I did. And
I think I was in Clover and I was in
and I got burned
SoFi.
on that.
And I'm still holding SoFi. So there you go. I'm a bag holder for SoFi.
See, and this is the difference between Chris and us is like we actually feel a little responsible, so we want to do some DD and give out a shit ton of warnings. Whereas Chamath is on, and that look, CNBC doesn't cover the SPACs and doesn't shit on him every day because they fucking helped him. Like CNBC helped him. They
all making money
helped
on
him
it.
promote it.
They're all making money on it. You've seen the video where Kramer explains exactly how hedge funds, how they manipulate the narrative to make money. Like he said that is what happens. It still happens.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Here's a question.
It hasn't changed. If anything,
let's make it simple. Let's take the SPACs out. I just want, this is an actual question. Okay. So Chamath went on, or we go on, and we were like, Google's a great buy. Right? Which is obvious. I mean, like, come on, it's part of the S&P.
Yeah.
But then it tanks 50%, which it did. Okay, it did do that, and somebody lost a lot of money because we said Google is a great buy. So, is that? I think
it's this comment right here. Intent matters. If our intent was a shit ton of DD behind Google and saying 5 years,
I know what you're saying.
Here's the
but
difference.
The person who lost everything on Google, and because he went crazier on it and he put in all his money, and now he's down, and that was his father's hospital bill or whatever. Like, is there no personal responsibility at the end of the day?
No, there definitely is.
There is personal responsibility, but again, it's like the stock price going down. The stock price going down is a function of the collective buying and selling of a specific stock. Most of the time, we like to look at the fundamentals and look at some numbers and believe that it should be at a certain level when we say it's fairly valued. Okay, us on YouTube pumping a stock or shitting on a stock, guys, I hate to break it to you, but we don't move stocks.
Yeah,
we don't move Enphase.
We don't move it one penny.
We don't move it one fucking penny. Okay, and AMIT probably moves Palantir more than we could move fucking Enphase.
No, I laugh when people leave comments on my
I'm
video.
being
Like,
serious.
you got to talk about this. I'm like, bro, my YouTube channel's not fucking moving.
Okay, you might move it a penny, like a penny. You might be able to move it a penny.
I even doubt that. I even doubt that.
Bro, there's 2 billion shares.
I'm just
out
saying,
like,
you have maybe a fucking one, maybe just one actual penny. I'm not even saying
Joe Rogan could move it
one penny.
$10. Not
Joe Rogan.
AMIT.
So the point is that we really don't have any skin in the game. People that are listening to us understand that we're saying this because we're putting in our own money. Someone like Chamath is different because he's invested in the company and he's set to make the gains. It's the same as.
Well, it's worse than that. By the way, it's worse than that. He didn't invest in the company. He gets free shares.
All right, so you got the free shares and he's dumping on the market. But this is the same as
a sponsor for the SPACs.
This is the same as Bill Gates, making turning 50 million into 500 million on Pfizer and Moderna because he bought before the vaccines came out. And then as soon as he made his money and sold his position, then the vaccines weren't worth anything anymore, and he moved to the next thing. That is predatory. You have to understand that that's predatory. If that happened to any one of your kids, say you gave your kid $30,000, Vitaly,
I'd be like, why the fuck were you watching him on YouTube?
Let's just say,
don't watch finance. Like, you don't watch
right,
Chamath. Like,
you give your kid $30,000 to start his investment portfolio, and he meets some billionaire guy who gives him this spiel and ends up losing his money. You're definitely gonna have words for your kid like, how could you be so stupid? How could you fall for that, right? But if you got in the room with the guy that did that to your kid, you'd say you knew exactly what the fuck you were doing.
Yep.
You'd beat the shit out of that guy. So yes, you will hold your kid accountable. You got to be smarter than this. I taught you better than this. But then you look at that guy and you'd be like, what are you doing saying that to these kids? You know exactly what they're going to think. You know that they're going to fucking take that money and give it to you because you made this specific case. You know it, even though they don't have the capacity. Same I was saying with kids on social media. That young investor does not have the experience in markets to understand how these things work. And you have a guy who's a billionaire telling you something. You're like, well, he's the expert. He made a bunch of money.
You know a good example of this? When my dad had his liquor store, he sold a cigarette to...
You always have a story from the liquor store. You're like, this reminds me of that time I was my dad at a liquor store.
It's like, so funny. He sold a cigarette to the 16-year-old kid who used the fake ID. And my dad, he used to check IDs like a motherfucker. He didn't want any shit. But in this ID, kid faked it really well. He sold him a cigarette.
Right.
His mom comes to the fucking store one day, starts cursing. How could you sell my son a cigarette? Blah, blah. My dad's like, first of all, the ID looks real. Second of all, why is your son smoking? Why is he buying cigarettes? And so, like, they ultimately had a decent exchange, but the mom had to accept my son is crazy enough to fucking want to smoke cigarettes at 16, and my dad had to accept, yeah, I'll do a better job with the fake
No,
ID.
the difference is the exact parallel would be if your dad was like, "Hey, do you want a cigarette?"
Right. That's such a good point.
That would be the difference. If your dad was
That's
pushing it like, "Hey, you want a pack of cigarettes? You want a Lucy for that? They're only 25 cents." If he's trying to upsell the kid, that's the difference. Your dad got scammed. The kid was Chamath in that situation. He scammed your dad. The kid was Chamath. You know what I'm saying?
No, his dad is like, looks real.
Can you like bring up
some more money for us today?
Can you bring up Kelly's comment? I want to respond to that. 453. Her last comment.
It's probably 753
Oh well, 453. So.
in real
the longer
life.
one, right?
Yeah, the longer one.
Losses are just okay. Go ahead.
Losses are just the tuition for the school of investing, and everyone basically pays tuition based on their own income net worth at the time, so it's pretty fair. Kelly, you're absolutely right, but most of the time the losses are by making the wrong bet on the wrong stock. It's not if you've been lured into something by, say, a predatory billionaire that's looking to offload a bunch of shares, like VITALY mentioned that he got for free. It's most of the time you either don't do enough research, or a company that you thought was going to the moon has a couple of bad quarters, or a product that you took a bet on fails. Everyone needs to have those, but it's these specific types of losses that people are incurring, which I think blur the line, where it's predatory. No one gets out of the stock market without losing money. I mean, Warren Buffett fucking loses money. Everyone loses money, but it's the way that you lose it's the way that you lose that money that I think is important. That's the distinction that I'm trying to make here.
So this is what KRIS tweeted a year ago, December 27th. He said, Chamath will be remembered as the world's biggest carpetbagger. Look at any of his SPACs today and tell me any different. CNBC BTW was complicit for giving this guy a platform. I think that's why CNBC never talks about the SPACs ever. I never see a segment because they knew what they were doing. And I wonder if they got paid or if they had something like
Dude, all those guys behind the scenes. Are you kidding me? All those guys behind you have to think about the access that they have to be able to buy and sell shares on the on and off the market. They're making money hand over fist. And ultimately, you know, I'm telling you, once they gave everyone those $1,200 stimmy checks and Robinhood was like, yo, we got a record number of deposits. They were like, it's like throwing a bunch of sharks into a tank.
So why do you think CNBC helped? Do you think they just wanted the content? Why do you think they helped?
Well, I think that they're making money on the side, whether it be in the investments, and it also makes for good television because people do want to hear about that stuff, right? People do want to hear about that stuff, so they're gonna tell them, but they don't have a disclaimer. It's like they should like the warning label on foods. Maybe they should say like a warning as Chamath is talking. Do your own research. You know,
I do want to point out one thing. I think we should move on. We have to end this too.
Yeah, we got to end. This is our last thing. Then
I did want to say, look, yes, Chamath actually, because he is involved in these companies, he's getting free shares, so there is some responsibility he does actually share because he's getting paid to promote these, so there is some responsibility there. But I don't want people to take away, and I see a lot of people in the comments think that they can just blame somebody else for their losses. That's what I feel is going on. At the end of the day, that's not going to help you succeed and win in the next decade, the next 10 years. A lot of times those losses are a lesson. You're supposed to take it as a lesson. You're supposed to learn from it. And I've had losses. Carlos had losses. We can talk about losses all day long.
Okay, here's the difference.
Hold on.
Wait. All right. I'll
you can have losses all day long. The point is that you need to take it away in the positive way, that I've learned something, even if I've lost a lot of money. That's the way I took all my losses, even if it hurt for a very long time. And I've talked about those times that you have to move away and move forward. Otherwise, you will never win, okay? Because you're always blaming somebody else. Just remember,
radical responsibility.
She's absolutely right. But there's different capacities. Like a young child is too, like we don't let 15-year-olds get tattoos because they are not of the mental capacity to make that decision, something that could affect them for the rest of their life. So we say, you know, your parents have to consent to these sorts of things. It's the same sort of deal. If you're a young investor, you really don't have you can participate just like anybody else, but you don't have the investment experience or knowledge of markets to be able to effectively navigate through that, especially if there's predatory guys like, say, Chamath, who got a bunch of shares for free. It doesn't cost them anything. And in that sense, he's incentivized to have you purchase the shares. And some people are going to lose their shirts. Now, the point I wanted to make, VITALY, is like both of us lost money on FUV, right? But we weren't scammed.
Well, FUV, no, I actually made money, but I lost my
did-
gains.
We did not make as much money as we could have because
36x and you didn't sell. I don't.
But
understand.
that is
what I'm saying.
us. That's on us. That's because we did not recognize certain fundamentals about the business, and we didn't recognize that certain things about the market, and we lost out on that. It wasn't anybody that made us believe that the stock was going to go from a 36x to 100x. Do you get what I'm saying? That's the difference. Those are the kinds of losses that I learned from. But
so your point, Carlos, is that the predatory stuff is bad, and Vitaly's point, which I kind of agree with as well, is like the predatory stuff is inevitable, and sometimes you got to deal with it and just learn for the future to not be a victim of it.
You got to be a pragmatist about the whole thing.
I think I think at some point it's very hard not to get through your entire investment career and not fall victim to that.
100%.
But hopefully you just learn it once, and the burn, the scar. That's why scars are so important, right? When you get a physical scar, it's a reminder of that injury. It's a reminder of what the hell you did to get that scar, right? And I think, financial scars hit a little bit differently, but that would be the best case scenario, is that you get a real financial scar from that, and you go, man, like I now have to suffer with that. I can't go back on it. And today changes on that. That's right. You tell him, listen, man, I ain't cleaning up.
Today he took a shit in your fucking living room.
Are you guys teaching your kids like personal? I know they're really young. But...
I keep track of all the shits that I'm cleaning up, and when I'm turned 65, I'm going to tell her I am not wiping my ass again. From 65, I don't wipe this ass.
I actually do have a belief that you are responsible, because look, at the end of the day, I can't go after Chamath, and that'll take me too much time, and that's not going to work out. And that's why personal responsibility is the only way forward. That's why you have to take. You just have to say, listen, I made a mistake. I'm not going to do this again. Learn from it, move on, and that's how you do better. If you just keep shitting on Chamath and go on Twitter and following him and wasting your time doing that, you've learned nothing. There's not going to be any benefit from that. That's a waste of your time. This is what I'm getting at. Unless you're going to go do a class action lawsuit right now, that is a waste of your time.
I agree with you, but I think where I stop short is by relinquishing him from any responsibility. And it sounds a little bit like you're like, well, he got away with it. You should have known better. But it's like,
I got scammed 10,000 times.
Both you is blame him, but blame yourself as well.
No, like to Vitaly's point, I don't think you should go on Twitter and start attacking the guy. Maybe once or twice. You just let him know. Hey guys, we know what the fuck you did. That's it. But do you follow the guy? Do you stalk the guy? Do you go on every social? Do you create this massive campaign to actively try to take him down? No, I don't think you do that. But I don't think that just because it's legal and he can get away with it, and there are people stupid enough to fall for the scam, does not mean that the scam should exist and that he should be given a free pass, because it's like, well, hey, that's
he's not given a free pass, because he got these guys on Twitter now chasing him down.
Oh yeah, in his $750 million, mansion.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm fine. I'll take.
Okay, real quick. I forgot the super chats. Let's do those real quick. David, thank you for $14 super chat. The other question is, how do junk companies like WeWork and Smile Direct Club go public? They convince retail investors to buy the fucking shares, and that's how they go
Actually, we talked to a company about going public. I'm not going to say, because I don't want to refer to them as junk companies, but it's not hard apparently to go public. You just fill out some documents. You make sure you have a lawyer do the work that you need, and you can be a really small, tiny, shitty company and go public.
X number of months of
I think me and Carlos can form a Freelancer Finance LLC and go public. Like it's something anybody can do.
Everything we just said, guys, we got to tell you about this great news.
Buy the FF stock.
It's buy FF stock, man. 80% margins. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, we can do a little SPAC deck for you guys.
Last one, David says, do they or don't they? Does Milli Vanilli deserve
Milli Vanilli, dude, you don't know anybody. My God. Okay, go ahead. Milli Vanilli.
Have a movie made about them, and does KRIS deserve to make a cameo? Who is Milli Vanilli? What is
they were the band who sang Girl You Know It's True, but they were lip syncing, because the real guys who sang it were ugly. I don't know if you remember this. You probably don't.
Milli Vanilli was a band. It was the first band that revealed that most of live performances are lip synced. And back then it was just seen as, I mean, you have to understand, I think it was like the late 80s. And so they were producing these albums.
These people? These two?
Yeah, these two guys.
Yeah. So now, they're not actual singers. They're just good looking dudes.
They're just good looking guys. Now, it's one thing to lip sync, like Christina Aguilera will lip sync her stuff live. Britney Spears, all those, what's her name? Even maybe Beyonce. They'll lip sync live, but they're lip syncing to themselves. This was a group of guys who were lip syncing to other people singing. And so it was a really famous thing. They were doing a live show at the peak of their fame. They were doing a live show. And while they were singing, the recording started skipping. It was either like a record that started skipping, and then they just like ran off stage, and it was revealed that they were that they faked the whole thing, and then the real
They didn't even run
real
off
dude came
stage.
out.
They started singing the skipping parts.
Yes, then they ran, but then they ran off stage.
Then they ran, but it was so ridiculous, and nobody's ever seen that.
When did this happen? In the 90s?
But
80s.
let me point out something. Yeah, this is a long time ago. But Da Baby, he was also at Da Baby. If I'm saying this right, Da Baby.
Yeah.
He was singing along to maybe his track with his own voice, but he was also just singing along to his own track.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you sing
no, but it's so annoying. It's like live performances should be live. I don't want to hear a record playing in the background.
Well, that's
Michael Jackson lip synced a lot too.
That's a complaint of like Cardi B and them. But look, if you look at Art of War 504, he's saying one of the dudes killed himself. I was like, really?
Oh yeah,
Wait,
one of the Milli Vanilli guys killed himself.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh,
But how do we know that it was really him that killed himself? Maybe it was some other guy. Maybe
No. I'm sure depression. These guys were in serious depression.
I'm sure. July 21st, 1989. Yeah,
They were in depression because they got caught lip syncing. You think that's what triggered?
You have to
And
understand.
they killed their whole career. So the millions of dollars went away overnight.
Yeah, it destroyed their career. They were the laughing stock of every like late night talk show. They became literally the butt of every joke back then. And for some reason at that time, it was just so dishonorable to not be singing your own music. Like now you don't think about it. Cardi B's up there. She's not even singing. But at that time, it was like Vitaly said, if you're a musician and we're paying you and I'm coming to see you, I don't want to hear you lip syncing to the album that I heard in the car right here. I want to hear you doing it live.
What's worse, by the way, on top of, I've learned a lot about this because I had their record, by the way. I had the Milli Vanilli tape.
Oh, dude,
but what's worse?
I had all the moves,
Yeah, I like the song still. What's worse is that they tried to come out with their own album, like maybe 6 months after a year, and they were the worst singers.
It was horrendous. It was
hilarious.
Horrendous. Oh my god!
You brought back some memories.
Ashley Simpson on Saturday Night Live.
Ashley Simpson is another one, but at least that was her voice. She was just singing over it.
Or the famous one. There was two of them where one of the guys who operates the mixing board released the audio of what Britney Spears' mic was actually picking up during one of her concerts. It was horrendous. It would shatter glass. And she was lip syncing. And then Mariah Carey had another famous one live on New Year's Eve. Did you see that one?
Yeah, this was like a couple years ago.
It was one of the last ones with Ryan Seacrest where she got caught singing out there, and I guess she was saying she couldn't hear the monitor. But I'm like, ugh. I mean, mice were flipping. She killed half the rats in New York City with that one performance. That's why
I don't go to concerts, Vitaly. That's why I stay home, watch it on YouTube.
You know the thing I respect, Axl Rose, while he was losing his voice because he couldn't hit the high notes, he sang every freaking note, man. Wow. I gotta respect that. He's not trying to play the record in the background. They're playing the music.
They're all playing it. They're playing it. I'd love to take you to one of my shows, man. I'd love to take you to like.
No, I want to hear about occasion. I want to see Occasional Hand Job live. I want to.
No, I'm saying one of the bands.
You guys got to play a song for me in Vegas, like a real OG song from the 2000s.
Bro, at my buddy's wedding, I got kind of hammered, right? And he had a band, and like I got hammered.
Whoever gives me an occasional hand job, that's who I'll play the song for.
Oh yeah, we'll have a line out the door for that.
Oh my gosh!
But at my buddy's wedding, I got a little bit hammered, and I went over to the guy who was. They had a band there, and I said, "Hey, can I play drums? This is during dinner, bro." And this video of it, I started playing "Sober" by Tool, and people had no idea what it was because it's a pretty recognizable drum beat. People actually got up and started dancing. It was awesome. I'm great at parties, man.
There is a video. Carlos played drums at I wrote a song for my wife during my wedding. Carlos played drums during I have the video. Yeah,
dude,
I want to see this video.
I wrote a song. I played it for her, and Carlos did the whole thing, and we even did. Go ahead.
He hit me up like 3 weeks or a month before. And he's
we practiced.
I wrote this song for her. We recorded in that. We practiced in that studio I had in Park Slope. And you were like, "Yo, you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I wrote a drum piece to it. Then he played to that. Then he sent me the clean guitar, and I would just practice to the clean guitar with him singing. And then that day, I had to hide my drum set from somebody. We got it in through the back. And then they brought it out real quick.
Well, we did it not really telling anybody we were going to do it. It was a surprise that we were playing this song during the middle of the wedding. Yeah, and I also have a Dirty Dancing video. We learned all the moves, me and the wife, for the whole thing, and we did Dirty Dancing. Patrick's.
When did you get married, Vitaly? What year?
This was 1928, I believe.
It's like, I've been in the slammer now 274,000 days.
And I still argue when you get in the car. Damn. All right.
I gave her my testicles 15 years ago today.
That's it for us. That's it for the work week. We're done. We'll be back on the new channel. Let me plug the new channel, guys. We are transitioning here September 3rd officially. So please, if you have not subscribed and you like our content, please subscribe to us on the new channel. This will be the home of Finance Junkies. We're going to build that motherfucker up to 100,000, hopefully in the next couple of years, and it's going to be big. think Finest Junkies could be a really big brand one day.
Thank you, 427 people. 7 of you need to get the hell out of here so we can leave on 420.
All right.
That's it. Thank you, everybody. We'll
All right,
see
have a good
you
weekend, guys.
Sunday. Have
See
a
you
good
later. Bye.
weekend. Bye, everyone.